Welcome to the Electric Wire Podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Jilks. I'm the Executive Director of the Customers First Coalition, which is a coalition that's been in existence for over 20 years to preserve Wisconsin's affordable and reliable electricity. Today's episode is a hot take episode, where we've conducted 4 separate mini interviews about 5 to 6 minutes each to talk about community solar in Wisconsin. Some of you will remember this. Back in 2017, the Customers First Coalition put together a white paper, and kudos to those who worked on that at the time. I wasn't here at CFC yet, but it's a really good white paper that puts a spotlight on the community solar projects and models that fit within the regulatory structure here in Wisconsin. The white paper can be found on our website, customersfirst.org, and we'll link it in the show notes as well. But in this podcast episode, we're going to talk about the importance of community solar projects that fit within Wisconsin's regulatory structure and benefit all customers, and we'll follow up on some of those innovative projects mentioned in the white paper. For our first interview, we're talking with Public Service Commission of Wisconsin Commissioner Nowak. Commissioner Nowak is a returning guest, having joined us for a lengthy discussion on Wisconsin's regulatory model in our January 2021 podcast episode. If you want to know more about why and how Wisconsin regulates utilities, go back and listen to that episode, Utility Regulation and Protecting Customers. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. Our second interview is with Deb Erwin, who is a manager of regulatory policy for Wisconsin at Xcel Energy. Deb provides useful insights on Xcel's Solar Connect community program here in Wisconsin, as well as some insights from community solar programs in other states. Next, we're chatting with Lynn Thompson, who is the president and CEO at Eau Claire Energy Cooperative. Lynn talks more about his experience with community solar at the co-op and some of the unique ways their project has benefited the community. Finally, we're joined by Cheri, Salmon, who is the manager of new products and services at Madison Gas and Electric. Cheri describes her role in MG&E's popular shared solar program. Thank you to all of our guests, and I'll turn you over to my first interview with Commissioner Nowak now. Commissioner Nowak, welcome back to the podcast. We're delighted to have you back with us. There's been some conversations happening lately about community solar and different ways we can promote community solar here in Wisconsin, and I wanted to get some high-level reactions from you first on that topic.
Thanks, Kristen, and thanks for having me back. We are so, I think, lucky here in Wisconsin. We've been part of this renewable energy growth in the last several years, and it's continuing. And the great part about it is that if you're a customer in Wisconsin of one of our many utilities, you have so many options to get different renewable energy sources, whether it's through a specific tariff, like a rider where you can pay a premium to help support that renewable energy on your utility system, or be part of a community solar program, which is what we're hearing a lot about lately. And we approved the first community solar garden back in 2015 with Northern State Power. I think it was put into operation maybe the following year. And we saw several other of our investor-owned utilities come forward with these programs. So I think the point I want to make is that even in a vertically integrated, regulated energy environment like we have in Wisconsin, customers absolutely have choices. And the utilities are responding to those customer choices, whether you're a residential customer, because we're certainly seeing a growth in the desire for renewable energy among your commercial and industrial customers. And they're responding heavily to that with different tariffs and riders and so forth. And they want to work with their customers to meet some of those corporate sustainability goals as well. So we're seeing a lot of interaction with the customers and the utilities, and then different programs coming to the commission where, we fine tune them and we make sure that they're structured appropriately. That's what our job is. We don't initiate or bring forward these things. These are organically initiated by the customers and the utilities themselves, and it's happening here. So I want to make sure that people do understand we have choices here and there is access to it.
So can you tell us about some of the projects that you have approved and why you approved them? Why did you think they would be a good deal for all customers?
So I'll jump to like Madison Gas and Electric is a great example. They were the second one, I believe, to come in after Northern State Power. They go out and they find a location to install this community solar system, and they're small, and no two are set up the exact same, which is okay, because again, I think it's important that the utilities work with their customers and respond to how their customers want to subscribe to these. But the basic gist is that they all have this, usually an upfront payment fee. And then so that's like this, then they subscribe usually to a per kilowatt hour. And then after paying that upfront fee, then the customer typically receives, like they'll receive a monthly bill credit to reflect the amount of energy that's produced by their portion of that solar facility. There's other things included, like avoided costs that they may get a credit for. Not all utilities include avoided energy or demand. They all include the avoided energy and demand, but some have even an avoided transmission cost that's in that credit as well. So they're all structured, I think, differently to reflect the different areas where they're at, but it's a way for the customer to offset a portion of their home usage with the usage coming out of the solar facility. And the key thing that is absolutely similar in all of the programs that we did approve is that there's no cross subsidization. That is the one important theme throughout all of them. So it's really important to the commission that non-participating customers are not paying towards the solar facility at all. So every single cost is picked up by those who want to participate. And I think that's incredibly important, especially when you look at the demographics of those who are participating in this type of program. I don't think it's fair for someone who is a low to moderate income to shoulder some of the costs for those that do want to choose to participate in this program. So we are very careful when we approve these to make sure that that is not happening.
When people come in and say they can do community solar cheaper than the utility, how are they doing that? How is that possible?
Well, that means someone else besides the participant is picking up the cost. So this is where the old adage is, if it sounds too good to be true, it is, comes into play. Because remember, the utility costs are like a balloon, and you squeeze one, it's going to come out somewhere else. And so that is why I think it's critically important that these programs are structured appropriately, where we're not doing a cost shift, whether it's shifting the fixed cost of the utility, or they're getting a fair charge or a buyback rate, because we can't overcompensate someone who is participating in this program, because that always comes out of somebody else's pocket. So I'm very leery of those claims that can happen.
Thank you. So what parameters need to be in place for a community solar project to fit into Wisconsin's regulatory model?
If a company is going to come in and be a pure reseller of electricity, that is not going to fit well into our construct. And I think there's going to be a lot of, there will be a legal challenge raised, and that will be, something, it all is going to come down to how is it structured, who is generating and who is reselling and who is receiving the electricity. So, the devil will be in the details here, but there is strong safeguards to keep in place the utility obligation to serve here and their status under Wisconsin law.
How can Wisconsin build on the success of the current community solar projects, and what else can we be doing within the regulatory model to ensure more access to community solar?
I think it's really important to recognize and know that every customer in this state, at least that the PSC regulates, still has a lot of options with regard to their bill, and particularly with regard to renewable energy choices and how they can access different sources of energy from their provider. Those options exist. All they have to do is go to the utility's website or call them and find out what they offer. And I think people are going to be surprised about some of the options that are out there. And really, some of them, I know there's more coming. Utilities are constantly working and tweaking and responding to how their customers want to receive their energy. So I think there's a lot more to come.
Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope you appreciated the discussion with Commissioner Nowak as much as I did. Now let's get our next hot take from Deb Erwin, Manager of Regulatory Policy at Xcel Energy. Deb, welcome back to the podcast, first of all.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
We were happy to have you on for our electric vehicles episode back in February of 2020 when we were first starting. I loved that episode. I was just telling Deb before we started recording that I just re-listened to that episode. It's timeless. Feel free to go back and listen to that one as well if you're interested. So Deb, in Wisconsin, your Solar Connect community program has been offering customers the opportunity to participate in community solar projects since 2016, and I was hoping you could give us a status update on your Wisconsin projects.
Thanks. Thanks for having me back. The community solar program that we have in Wisconsin was a bit of a proof of concept. I think we were one of the first to propose something like that in Wisconsin. And we were successful in building ultimately 3 1-megawatt facilities that are located kind of across our service territory. There's one in Eau Claire, there's one near La Crosse and Cashton, and there's one up in Ashland. Ultimately they did fill relatively quickly with a mix of residential, commercial, government customers, and really seemed to meet that customer demand that we were seeing for new renewables and to some extent local resources. So, I feel like it's been a success and feel good about that program. Yeah.
What questions did you feel that regulators were asking as you were proposing this project, and what were they looking for in order to protect all customers?
Yeah, great question. I think there were a lot of questions that we got when we first came forward. First and foremost, I would say was, making sure that it was just those customers that really wanted to participate in a program like this that would be the ones paying for the program and for those facilities. And, so we were able to design a program that did just that, really we only built facilities that we had customer demand for. And once we had that demand and the commitment from those customers, they were the ones paying for the facilities. And then they were also the ones getting the benefit of those facilities for the life of them.
So are there lessons learned from these projects or projects in other states that you think could help positively impact the community solar programs offered in Wisconsin?
Yeah, Wisconsin utilities, many of them have proposed different types of community solar offerings, and everyone has sort of tried to come forward with what would work for their customers and their utility, which I think is a really good model. I think we've got experience with community solar. Xcel Energy does in some of our other states, particularly in Minnesota, there's a very large community solar program. I think a difference there is in how that program is paid for and the impact that it has on all customers. And I talked about wanting to make sure that those participating were the ones that were paying. That's not the case in the Minnesota Community Solar Program. And community solar is generally smaller scale, which doesn't have the advantage of sort of economies of scale and maximizing that economic benefit that a larger project can provide. And as a result, the customers in Minnesota are paying a premium as compared to what they would be paying for other solar resources. So if we're just, trying to get more solar resources on the system, our Minnesota customers in 2020 paid, an average residential customer paid over $100 over the course of 2020 over what they would have paid for the same solar resource that would be at a larger scale and more cost effective. And so it was over $100 in 2020. We're projecting that'll be more like $170 a year per residential customer in 2023. And that's real money, and that's all customers, including low income customers. And so that's just, that's not really the approach that we would recommend that has a big financial burden. And it's really not the most cost effective way to bring those benefits. Solar has a lot of benefits, and we want to bring those benefits to all customers and do it at the most economical price point. And so universal scale solar is really a better fit, honestly, for getting more solar resources on the system, bringing those benefits to customers. And as you see, there's a significant amount of new solar development ongoing in Wisconsin right now. So, we don't need to focus on building small facilities in order to make sure that we get solar built in Wisconsin. I think, we're going to get the benefits of those large systems, and that's really bringing those benefits to everyone is our priority.
Got it. Thanks. So what you're saying is the most bang for your buck is found with utility scale solar projects.
That's just the case, right? And that's what we've seen. That's and that's in how the bill credits are structured in Minnesota as well. What Xcel Energy pays for those community solar gardens in Minnesota is somewhat a creature of the statute and the bill credit structure that was created there. And that was not created to avoid cross subsidization like I was talking about. That was, a sort of a different approach that didn't have that cost effectiveness and getting the most bang for your buck in mind.
Well, thank you, Deb. I really appreciate you sharing your insights. Anything else you wanted to add before we sign off?
No, just appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Kristen.
All right, thanks, Deb. Thanks to Deb for the valuable insights. Now we're turning to Lynn Thompson, President and CEO at Eau Claire Energy Cooperative, talking about member solar program and solar installation in Fall Creek. Welcome, Lynn. So tell us more about yourself and your background with the co-op.
Okay, I've been with the co-op for about 30 years now. I've been the CEO for the last 11, and background's in finance. Prior to joining the co-op, I was a CPA working in public accounting, and came to the co-op and have had a great career here for the last 30 years.
Awesome. So your co-op was an early adopter of a community solar program. Your member solar project dates back to 2015. What were some early lessons you learned as you engaged the community on this specific project?
There were just a lot of excitement about it at that time. It was kind of new. A lot of people hadn't heard a lot about it. We gained a lot of very positive engagement with our members as far as meeting a need that people had. They wanted to participate in something larger like this to actually help to drive down the cost of solar versus at that time what you could do on your own. I think an early lesson also was just there's a difference between someone really wanting to do something and then someone writing a check to do it, because there was still a financial commitment that people had to make to buy into it and receive the benefits over a long period of time. And it took us a little longer, I think, to fully subscribe it than we initially thought it was going to take. But at the end, it was a very positive engagement with our members in getting it done.
How long did it take you to get fully subscribed?
About 2 years. 2015, 16, we worked through those to get fully subscribed.
So how many subscribers do you have?
Oh, we have about 320 total subscribers. The system is 750 kW total.
In 2017, do you remember this? The Customers First Coalition Community Solar White Paper mentioned this project, and it mentioned the case of a local Lions Club donating shares of your community solar project to help defray electricity costs for a local softball park for years. Are there other stories about the way this project has made a positive impact in the community through the years?
Yeah, that's just one. We also serve a nature center, Beaver Creek Reserve, just north of Fall Creek. And first year into it, they were looking at installing solar on their building, on the roof of the nature center, and they were looking at raising funds to do that from their members. They were successful in not only raising funds to build rooftop solar on the facility, but also to subscribe to enough solar to offset most of their energy usage for the next 20 years, so that they can now, as a nature center, be 100% powered by solar energy through a combination of on-site generation and the participation in our community solar project. So that was a very, it's something that's giving back to that nonprofit for 20 years, because they're no longer, they essentially prepaid for electricity.
That's really cool. So what are the next steps for you to build on the success of your member solar program?
Well, I think, the member solar program that we did, like I say, it took a couple of years to fully subscribe it. I think we've met the demand for, in our membership, what we have here locally to do anything. I'm not seeing people looking for more. What we have been able to do is people's lives change and they may move to a different part of the state or move out of our service territory. We've had people, a waiting list of people to buy in. So we're able to kind of churn those subscription units from one member to another. They become very portable, as opposed to if you invested on your roof and you move, it goes with the house, right? But in this case, it can transfer no matter, as long as you're a member of the co-op, some other member can take advantage of the subscription. So we've been using it that way through the last couple of years.
Is there anything else you wanted to add that you think people would be interested to know about the project?
No, we continue. Unfortunately, this last year with the pandemic, things have been really shut down, but we're looking forward to this summer again, having groups out to tour our facility, to tour the site, to tell our story. That's been an ongoing effort of ours since we built it. And of course, it took a pause for the last 14 months. But looking forward to getting that going. We continue to partner with a local farmer that brings his sheep out, every spring. They're not here yet, but they're going to be here, I'm told, in the next week or two. So also part of the sustainability of the project is, we have our guests that spend the summer, and they're our mowing squad that keeps the grass down and stuff. So that's kind of a neat feature of this as well. And
I need to see
when we have groups out to see the solar panels, sometimes they're more interested in seeing the sheep than they are the panels themselves. But
that's cool. Well, thank you so much, Lynn. It was kind of nice to meet you this way, and I look forward to meeting you in person someday too.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you to Lynn, and you can find a picture of the grazing sheep on our Twitter page at The Electric Wire. Our final hot take interview is with Cheri Salmon, manager of new products and services at Madison Gas and Electric. Welcome, Cheri, to The Electric Wire.
Thank you, Kristen, for having me on today.
We're excited to have you here. Tell us more about yourself and how you got started in this role at MG&E.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Cheri Salmon, and I am the manager of new products and services at Madison Gas and Electric. And my role is working with some of the emerging technology. I am managing the shared solar project, as well as our demand response, MGE Connect program, and our battery storage project, other just kind of emerging new technologies that we're looking at, and managing those pilot programs.
The really cool stuff.
Yes, lots of fun.
That's awesome. So tell us more about MG&E's shared solar program specifically. When did MG&E start offering that, and how has it changed over the course of time?
Prior to the filing of our shared solar program, MG&E held focus groups, and we conducted customer research to assist us in that initial design of the pilot. The shared solar pilot was approved in 2016 and started serving residential electric customers in January of 2017. We partnered with the city of Middleton to build the first array on the roof of the Middleton Operations Center. With this project, we had 285 enrolled customers that subscribed up to 3 kW, filling the full capacity available of 500 kW. This optional program proved popular with our customers, and once the pilot was sold out, we created a customer waiting list to determine the demand for a future project. So the expansion of our shared solar pilot was approved in July of 2019, and the second array was completed in August 2020 at the Middleton Municipal Airport Maury Field. This 3.5 megawatt expansion allows for additional customers to participate. And a few key aspects that changed from the original pilot include a reduced kWh cost for our customers, including the existing pilot customers. We opened the enrollment eligibility to our small and medium-sized business customers, as well as to our residential time of use customers. We also removed the 3 kW subscription cap. And with the expansion, we transitioned from a pilot to a full program. With the Maury Field expansion, we are currently nearing a sold out status with 95% of shares now subscribed. We do expect the project to be fully subscribed in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Cheri. So why did MG&E start offering the shared solar program in the first place?
We know many of our customers are interested in clean energy, and increasingly so. Shared solar is an option for any residential or small business customer who wants to support the growth of local clean energy and who's interested in powering their household or business with affordable local solar at a minimal upfront cost and a rate that will not increase for at least 25 years. The two key attributes of our program are really that long-term price stability and that minimal upfront cost for customers. MG&E is transitioning our energy supply to a greater use of renewable resources. Working with our customers through shared solar is just part of that transition. And we are targeting a net zero carbon electricity by 2050. We have said since introducing our carbon reduction goals that if we can go further faster by working together with our customers, we will. Programs like shared solar help us transition toward deep decarbonization. And our most recent project at Maury Field is part of more than 350 megawatts of new renewable generation capacity announced since we introduced the Energy 2030 framework for a more sustainable future back in November of 2015.
Right, so Cheri, how does MG&E plan to build on the success of your shared solar program?
MG&E has a long history of partnering with our customers and the municipalities that we serve. These two shared solar projects are examples of that, with the first project, as I mentioned, was in partnership with Middleton at the Middleton Operations Center, and the second at the Middleton Municipal Airport. And we continue to explore options to expand this program and access to shared solar to even more customers, including ways to open this to limited income customers and to even more businesses as we start to move out of the pandemic. MG&E partners with stakeholders to provide value above and beyond just providing clean local energy. We offer ways for them to market their participation and to showcase their commitment to sustainability. We work cooperatively with those that are trying to provide education on the value of renewable energy and how getting to net zero carbon is important, not only for our community, but for our world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cheri. Thanks for joining the podcast. Thank you again to all of our guests for joining today, and I want you listeners to know that we've got a really special episode planned for June. You'll have to stay tuned and subscribe so you don't miss it, but I promise it's going to be a good one. Thank you also to the members of the Customers First Coalition for your support of our organization and our podcast. The members of the Customers First Coalition are the Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin, Dairyland Power Cooperative, the IBEW 2150, Madison Gas and Electric, Municipal Electric Utilities of Wisconsin, Renew Wisconsin, Wisconsin Electric Cooperative Association, and WPPI Energy. We'll be back in June. Thanks for listening.